I gave that a lot of thought. I mean, maybe this is an argument I shouldn't engage, but I think I disagree with the publisher about that. Like, Jason Blair was enormously damaging. Just for viewers who might not know, he was a reporter who came along and he just invented stories out of whole cloth for whatever. It's in the book. You can read about why he had substance problems and just, I mean, it just invented stories out of all cloth. And when they started investigating him and began looking at his work, they realized that there were tons of them, right? And it was, I mean, I think it was pathological. It just was. And it showed, the paper always kind of assumed you could trust your reporters. And I think our readers, the paper's readers, always assumed they could trust the newspaper. So that's what I think Arthur Sulzberger Jr. is talking about when he talks about how damaging it was. And I do think it took years for the Times to get past that. I mean, there was a long time when you would turn on David Letterman, the talk show host here, and they would be making jokes about Jason Blair. Or if you were out reporting a story and somebody wanted to discredit you, they would say, you're just another Jason Blair. The thing about the war is that I think the stakes were higher, right? And I think that has fed a long-term mistrust. I don't want to overstate this, right? Because obviously I think people tend to trust the Times and stuff, but mistrust of the Times on the extent to which they're going to, carry or repeat the administration line. I mean, some of those stories were exactly as you said. They were either wrong or just too boosterish, and for whatever reasons. And I think that still is coloring the way a lot of people see the Times today. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the Times, in the early, I think if you had Punch Sulzberger here, well, you wouldn't be alive, neither would I, but he would not completely quarrel with the idea of the Times almost being, I don't want to overstate this, part of the government or near, you know what I mean? They were sort of part of the same, what we used to call growing up, the establishment. And I think that's probably not a good thing. And I think the Washington Post sort of began to break that with its Watergate coverage. I think now the media has generally really broken that. But the Iraq coverage, which seemed to promote what turned out to be, if not untruths, distortions about the war that was being pushed by the George Bush 43 administration, I think really damaged the paper. And I think that we still, to some extent, pay a price for that. Even though, I mean, the paper changed. The reporter who was at the center of that, Judy Miller, left the paper. I think the paper is much more scrupulous in terms of reporting those kind of stories. But I don't know. I think that was kind of a big deal. I mean, I spent a lot of time on that in the book. I spent a lot of time on Jason Blair in the book because I think they're both really big events, right? But if you ask me, I think that ultimately Iraq was more damaging.